Welcome to part 2 of All About Arthur. Now, here's a little note. When I do other characters, I am not going to be reading all the episode names that they're from because that just takes way too much time. It's only going to be for Arthur in part 1. So let's continue where we last left off. Popularity. Arthur wants to be popular and loves celebrities and fancy living. He ran in a class election and was more humble than Muffy, his opponent. At times, Arthur is very focused on his popularity to the point of being awkward. He does not understand other people's jokes and takes advantage of people in an attempt to gain popularity. Arthur is often mocked by other classmates, especially Francine, for having bad things happen to him or liking unpopular things. When in trouble, despite himself being friendly, Arthur sometimes has a tendency to break promises his parents have given him, such as not to touch the computer during his mother's tax season, to clean up his room as he's told, to not dig in the yard, and to practice the piano on time. He is known to mumble his words whenever he evades somebody's questions. He is also known to play with his glasses whenever he lies, which DW has caught him doing before. Sometimes he lies at first, then he changes his answer to an exaggeration but finally confesses immediately afterward. He, because of Buster, is known as the world's greatest gleeper. In this case, Arthur never intentionally meant to lie, but did not know how nor when to tell the truth. But he does finally tell the truth. He is scolded by Rattles and lectured by Binky Barnes moments before they all run off to play sports together. He is occasionally referred to by his full name when he gets into trouble, although his middle name, Timothy, wasn't actually mentioned until Arthur's big hit from Season 4. He occasionally cheats when he feels overwhelmed, or his friends insist he competes in a contest. Despite Buster Baxter having a reputation for eating too much food, Arthur also loves to eat desserts. Arthur is regarded as a messy eater. He tends to eat any junk food he can find. After learning about his unhealthy habits, he stops obsessing over desserts. Arthur also is reluctant when it's time for bed. This often gets him into trouble. Mistakes. Arthur has the potential to be an intelligent person, but tends to be the one who doesn't use common sense, much to the annoyance of his parents. An example of this is in Arthur's knee, where he tells DW to not tell Jane and David that he cut his knee from a lima bean can. DW wanted to explain to David why lima beans are bad for you. Arthur usually takes advantage of people until they are exhausted and frustrated. Arthur made a mistake with the responsibility of giving tax documents from Mr. Haney to Jane Reed. Arthur was so afraid that it was about him he avoided giving it to her. In Besties, Arthur suspects that Ladonna has become Buster's best friend. He tries multiple approaches to get Buster to be his best friend again, including lying to Ladonna that Buster said something mean about her. However, Arthur apologizes and they become friends again. Arthur has a dislike for large but warm sweaters. In Locked in the Library episodes, he insulted Francine more than once by saying she is a marshmallow and did not apologize to her. However, they made up after Arthur became worried about her safety. And so funny I forgot to laugh, Arthur teases Sue Ellen about a sweater she wears. While Sue Ellen does find it funny at first, Arthur starts going too far with the joke. This includes taping an uninsulting note to Sue Ellen's locker, emailing her a rude image, and writing her a nasty apology note. After realizing that Sue Ellen wants to change classes because of him, he runs outside and sincerely apologizes to Sue Ellen. Bigotry. Arthur can be also quite bigoted when it comes to people's taste, such as DW's love for Mary Moo Cow and Crazy Bus, that he claims are both babyish, and for Francine's pet cat Nemo, in which he exaggerates that all cats are evil because of a story he heard. Due to his bigotry, he tends to be stereotypical and insists that he's the one in the right mind. Rage. Arthur is also not one to get angry so easily, but when he snaps, the other kids are quite frightened by it. And Arthur cleans up while cleaning up the park with Pal for company. He passes by the tough customers. They litter right in front of him and tease him about it, but after Pal starts choking on their garbage, Arthur angrily scolds them to help him clean up. And Arthur in the Crunch Cereal contest, he is on a tirade during most of the episode. After his friends do not play the single how he wants, he shouts, "This is my jingle, and we are going to do it my way." Arthur sometimes gets frustrated a lot with DW. It's rare that Arthur can get physical with her. In Arthur's big hit, DW tries to make Arthur's model plane fly and flies it out the window. The plane breaks, and he yells at DW that she was warned not to touch it. Arthur's anger gets the better of him, and he aggressively punches DW in the arm. In A is for Angry, Arthur and Brain play a checkers tournament. Initially, Arthur is excited while Brain is bored, resulting in Francine and Muffy starting pep rallies to support Arthur and shun Brain. Arthur gets annoyed by this, telling them to give it a rest, only for Francine and Muffy to start pep rallies to support Brain and shun Arthur. When Arthur learns about this, he screams and announces that he's quitting the competition. In the feud, he gets in a fight with Buster over a video game because he thought he and Buster have different opinions on how the fight happened, and that caused the whole gang to get in a feud and be on each other's side. Muffy, Ladonna, and Fern were on Arthur's side, while Francine, the Brain, and Sue Ellen were on Buster's side. But then Binky, who was late for the feud, got involved. He didn't pick anyone's side. Instead, he made his own team called Team Binky, where only himself could be allowed. Soon Arthur and Buster both joined Team Binky after that. Relationships. Family. A reoccurring theme in the Arthur series is the tensions between Arthur and his younger sister. Arthur is constantly pestered and annoyed by his 4-year-old sister D.W. Reed, and even though she celebrated her 5th birthday during the TV series' 3rd season, Arthur still referred to her as a 4-year-old in the episode Return of the Snowball, which aired in the 7th season. Arthur gets frustrated a lot with D.W. She frequently interrupts his sleep, comes to his room while he does his homework, and fights over the television. Despite all of the shenanigans between the two, they are still a great brother and sister team, and they generally care for each other. Grandma Thor Appreciation Day, Grandpa Dave's Old Country Farm, Lost, Clarissa's Cracked, Just Desserts, Dad's Dessert Dilemma, Arthur's Mystery Envelope, The Big Dig, Arthur's Knee, Mom and Dad Have a Great Big Fight, Arthur's Family Feud, Is There a Doctor in the House? D.W. often hugs Arthur most of the time when either Arthur or she does something that's a big deal. Like in the episode D.W.'s Perfect Wish from Season 3, Arthur talks about all the great stuff that D.W. did, and when he finished the story, D.W. hugs him because Arthur told her all the great stuff he did when she was 4. Another episode was Operation D.W. from Season 10. D.W. hugs Arthur probably because she's brave and for all the nice stuff Arthur did to her before the operation. He is also jealous of her for being a better songwriter, storyteller, and fly fisher, which embarrassed him and made him believe she's a show-off. When his baby sister Kate Reed came home, Arthur was close with her, while D.W. got jealous because of the lack of attention she got during Kate's newborn days. In Arthur's baby, he was shown to be nervous about how his new baby sister would act towards until he burped her to stop her from crying, which she is then seen snuggling into him and kissing his cheek. This is carried on in the episode D.W.'s Baby, where he's feeding her milk with a bottle with no problem. Arthur has also been seen to make her laugh, starting with the episode Arthur the Unfunny, where he purposely making mistakes on the piano while making funny faces. In Binky Barnes' Wingman, Arthur dressed as a spider and brings Kate to school dressed as a fly to help with his report on spiders. Arthur's parents include his mother Jane, who is a work-at-home accountant, and his father David Reed, who runs a catering business. She often breaks up the arguments between D.W. and Arthur. Friends. Buster Baxter. Buster is Arthur's best friend. They do many things together, such as watching movies, going to Wonder World, and eating at the Sugar Bowl. Arthur and Buster share multiple interests, such as Henry Screever books, Bionic Bunny, and playing checkers, baseball, and soccer. He has a spin-off called Postcards from Buster. Ladonna Compson. Ladonna is Arthur's 4 houses down neighbor. Arthur and Ladonna became friends shortly after Madonna moved to Elwood City and have remained friends since. Francine Frensky. She is one of Arthur's friends. According to Locked in the Library, they first met in preschool, but in desperately seeking Stanley from Season 8, she went to his 3rd birthday party. Francine sometimes teases Arthur, although they always remain friends in the end. She gave him Spin the Bottle for his 8th birthday, and other than that, there are many rumors that they have a crush on each other. This is evidenced heavily in the book Arthur's Valentine, when she appears angered that Arthur has given a mushy, in her words, Valentine to Sue Ellen Armstrong. Another example is in Arthur and the Square Dance, where Muffy, upset that she has to dance with a clumsy Binky, spreads a rumor, with Binky's help, that Arthur and Francine are in love. This later scares the two of them, and they admit that there are no romantic feelings between them. At the end of And Now Let's Talk to Some Kids, they are shown as an elderly couple in the future watching the Magic Tool Bus on VHS. Muffy Crosswire. She and Arthur are good friends. They both share the same birthday, and although they don't hang out with each other often, they are still good friends. Their own parents are close friends with each other. Arthur's mother works as the tax accountant for Muffy's father, who runs Crosswire Motors, and Ed is often the customer for desserts that Arthur's father bakes and delivers to people. While Arthur is sometimes quite annoyed by Muffy's antics, like when she talks about shopping or gloats about her wealth, she still lends her a helping hand if she needs. An example is in You Are Arthur, where Arthur notices Muffy about to bump into the railing. He asks if she is all right and helps her up. Allan Powers, another one of Arthur's friends, who he and others nickname as Brain. Brain occasionally helps out Arthur with his homework. He also stayed at Arthur's for the weekend while his parents were out to Ice Creamers Convention and was neat as a guest, but when he went back to his own house, Arthur found out that Brain wasn't as neat as expected. Arthur is a frequent customer at Brain's ice cream shop. Binky Barnes, despite Arthur fearing Binky in the earlier episodes, and sometimes casting Binky as the villain in his stories, Binky usually does not want to harm Arthur. Arthur and Binky have been shown to get along, like in Big Brother Binky and Baby Steps. Ellen Armstrong, she is said to be one of Arthur's best friends, although they don't hang out much. In the book Arthur's Valentine, he expected her to be his secret admirer when she transferred to his school. In Arthur's faraway friend, she gave him the advice to spend time with Buster before his long trip with his dad. In Sue Ellen's lost diary, he and the three of their friends were able to retrieve the diary she once lost in the Elwood City Public Library. In Secret Guardian, she invites him to sail her model ship with her near the treehouse. In The Best Day Ever, when she, Arthur, and some of the friends talk about their best day ever, Sue Ellen tells the group that Arthur returning her diary was her best day. George Lundgren. Even though they might not hang out very often, they're together enough times to have formed a friendship. In Arthur's dummy disaster, when George's dummy, Wally, falls apart when he is supposed to read a poem out loud, Arthur talks to George and helps him overcome his shyness while helping him realize that he can have courage to speak without the use of Wally. George recounts this as his best day ever. In The Silent Treatment, Arthur and his friends plan a surprise party for George. Fern Walters. In earlier seasons, interactions between Arthur and Fern were rare. However, as the show progressed, more episodes featured them together. This is evident in episodes like The Boy Who Cried Comet and Tales of Crossley Grim Bunny, where Buster, Fern, and Arthur appear as a trio. Growth. It is hinted in a few episodes that Arthur wants to be a lot bigger in size for unknown reasons. In D.W. Snow Mystery, he views himself as someone 1.5 times his normal size. In The World Record, he fantasies as being the tallest person in the world. In the opening of Buster's Best Behavior, he views himself as being able to make himself much taller. These moments are unexplained. Development. Creation. Mark Brown first imagined the character of Arthur Reed in 1976 when his son Tolan Brown asked him to tell him a bedtime story featuring a weird animal. Brown then came up with an aardvark named Arthur, who worried that his nose was too long. He decided to round the character's face off in the second Arthur book so as not to frighten children. Brown describes the character as being in every kid who experiences all the milestones, those things that are so important in the lives of children. Voice acting. For the first 5 seasons of the television series, Arthur was voiced by Michael Yarmish. For season 6, Yarmish was replaced by Justin Bradley. And for seasons 7 and 8, the character's voice was provided by Mark Rendell. Rendell also redubbed season 6 due to complaints from Carol Greenwald stating that Bradley's voice was too low and he lacked the vocal range of Yarmish. After Randall left, Cameron Ansel took up the role from seasons 9 to 11. From seasons 12 to 15, he was voiced by Dallas Jokic. During seasons 16-17, he was voiced by Drew Adkins. During seasons 18 and 19, he was voiced by William Healy. In seasons 20 and 21, he was voiced by Jacob Urso Marzo. He is currently voiced by Roman Luterati since season 22. In the Living Books computer games, Arthur's Teacher Trouble and Arthur's Birthday, he was voiced by Duncan Mould and Ben Ellis. In the direct-to-DVD CGI film, Arthur's Missing Pal, he was voiced by Carr Thompson. Trivia. Arthur's bedtime is at 9:00 p.m. Arthur has not appeared in multiple episodes of the show. He started on the show when he was 8 years old, 3 months and 22 days. It was seen in some episodes in the future Arthur and Francine will be married. The reason Arthur's nose was gradually reduced inside to give him a more oval-shaped face in the later years was due to it obscuring his mouth and also limiting his facial expressions because of his current design. Some fans often confuse Arthur for a mouse instead of an aardvark. This confusion became a gag in the show itself. Sue Ellen hints she has a crush on Arthur at the end of Sue Ellen's Lost Diary, resulting in him blushing. Arthur's favorite color is yellow. Arthur is one of the few characters to have never read any title cards out loud. On Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, starting with the 4th season, the theme song of the show ended with Ruff Ruffman saying, "You know, I bet Arthur doesn't have to deal with stuff like this." Fetch was another production of WGBH that aired on PBS. Alright, that is all about Arthur Reed. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next character coming up soon. I will not tell you who it is a surprise. And that's how it's going to be for a lot of people. Take care and peace.